MIQ is a programmatic services partner to brands and agencies, and essentially we enable programmatic buy-in across all channels through our people-based platform and our agnostic approach to technology. So we work across multiple demand-side platforms to activate programmatic campaigns that reach, marketers' KPIs.
Right on. Okay. So heavy focus on entire focus on programmatic.
Entire focus on programmatic.
Yeah, but cross-channel.
Cross-channel, omni-channel, and what we do is we've built technology on top of all of our activation platforms that enable planning capabilities and consolidated measurement.
Okay, right on. So, I'm an old school programmatic person, and I believe in programmatic conceptually, not as something sort of small, like just OpenRTB. So talk a little bit about, the idea of applying programmatic principles to the world of television.
Sure. So programmatic does not have to be problematic for television, right? We've learned a lot through the last 10 years of being in the space and learning how to transact across display and mobile and now video inventory, inclusive of television and now YouTube as well as a channel. And what I'll say is that there are 4 different programmatic principles that I think apply to television very well. Number 1 is audience-based targeting, right? TV now has more data sets than ever before, and so we have the ability to understand audiences at a deeper level than we did prior using just age and gender, and that allows for more targetability and more measurability, right? The second programmatic principle is surrounding frequency management. When you work across, one DSP or a group of DSPs, we now have the ability to do more frequency management, although it's an area that's still under development because there's ad pod limitations with some of the ad servers, but we're working towards a future where frequency management takes into account the customer experience and where we can find, precise audiences by limiting the amount of ad exposures and then throttling up ad exposures as necessary for those underexposed cohorts. The third programmatic principle is really surrounding measurement. And measurement is the ability to use television as a full funnel media channel, right? We have capabilities that allow you to understand, brand impact and brand lift all the way down to performance of specific channels and their contributions to your overall media buy. And then I would say that the fourth principle is really surrounding optimization. So we've been working a lot on trying to classify where we buy all of the CTV inventory and really do a better job of optimizing across channels when you buy an omni-channel plan.
So one of the things that you mentioned was measurement, and there's still so much room for improvement in measurement.
Sure. Yep.
But part of it, I think, is an ideological question of the role of TV. So do you see brands starting to treat CTV, for example, as more of a performance medium than traditional linear has perhaps been thought of?
Yes, I would say that we're seeing across the board that marketers are demanding more of their media investments, right, given the economic climate today. And what I would say is that because television has more data than ever before, we have the ability to really treat television as a performance channel. But one thing that I like to remind people is that there is such a thing as too much targeting on television, right? It's still a brand building medium, and no one can deny the power of sight, sound, and motion, right? But I think where we are sort of bridging the gap into the next generation of TV measurement is by leveraging unique data sets, by allowing our customers to bring any data set that they want to use as a currency and transact against that data set, as well as their own first-party data assets. And generally, by leveraging a data-driven approach to finding audiences on television, you get better measurability and therefore better outcomes.
Back to something you said earlier as well, another principle that you mentioned, and as a digital person I believe in this completely, is optimization.
Sure.
As I think part of just the order of things, the natural order of things is ongoing and fluid optimization. Do you see the buy side embracing the notion of more fluid optimization in television?
Absolutely. I think that what you're starting to see is that there are pockets of premium inventory that's sold in direct channels or through the upfronts, right? But there's a vast array of inventory that reaches specific audiences that can be found, across open exchanges as well as other transactions that can be powered by programmatic, including PMPs and PG deals. And what we're starting to see is that the agencies are taking a closer look at the way that they plan media, and they want to understand the contribution of each of those channels. Mm-hmm. Television is still wildly important, but it also cannot be bought just in a silo. So at MIQ, what we believe is that you should have an omni-channel approach and really understand, how audiences move across their customer journey and their consumption, right? And with all the different signals that we have today, we can do a lot better job of optimizing campaigns to KPIs that matter, whether that's just brand awareness or all the way down to performance and conversions on a website. So that's what we try to do. We work with our brands to understand what are the values that actually matter to them and what fluidity really exists, within their buys. And then we try to optimize those buys dependent on those KPIs. And generally speaking, MIQ is very good at performance, of our campaigns. And so we have a rich history of doing that on the digital side, and we're now applying that to TV.
So something you said sparked something for me. What do you think is your honest assessment of the state of real convergence in planning, in buying, in optimization, and in measurement? Because we've been talking about it forever.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I would say that there are pockets of, progress that has been made, but in general, I'll say that planning is still very difficult. And part of the reason why is because there's still walled garden inventory, there's still inventory that's bought direct through broadcasters. And so bringing all of those pieces together is really challenging from a technology standpoint and then from a people standpoint, right, at agencies and at our brands. But we're starting to make some inroads in that space where people are understanding that, well, we need to be targeting folks that are under or unexposed from a traditional linear buy and find them on CTV channels. The second thing is that I believe we are learning a lot about how to transact television, server to server, programmatically, right? And what are the limitations that brings, as well as what are the opportunities? And the opportunities exist to be able to funnel more money into high performance environments, right? And to be able to see almost near real time results, and then be able to make better investment decisions in the future. But I would say from a measurement standpoint, it's still a very convoluted space. There's a lot of new entrants in the space, and there really is no technical standard or calculation standard that exists in the marketplace. And so what you're starting to see is a lot more collaboration between companies, which is great for the future of television. But ultimately, what I would like to see is that television gets its fair share of value. And if you think about what's happening in the digital space with the deprecation of cookies, right? It's actually yielding, contextual targeting to be a much better way of finding people, which is presumably old school. That's how digital started, right? But television will definitely win when measured against context, right? Like we've been buying audiences on TV, as content as a proxy to audiences. And now you're starting to see that the value of contextual targeting and CTV is going to start really saving television because folks understand and embrace the fact that TV contributes wildly to their brand performance.
So you're in the right place for collaboration.
Yeah.
The next couple of days, theoretically, are going to be a great opportunity for people to, sort of bang through some of these challenges and try and figure out ways to work more effectively together. So what are you excited about over the next couple of days?
I'm excited about being in this group of just leaders in the space, first and foremost, but also I'm excited to learn more about how we're going to bridge the gap between linear buying and addressable buying as all TV becomes distributed via IP and as consumer choice, yields positive results for CTV platforms. I think there's a lot of work that has been done, and I'm just excited to learn more about what we can do as part of that ecosystem to help our brands find their audiences on CTV.
Right on.